Hello, welcome back to part 2 of my Australia's healthcare system video because I ran out of room on my whiteboard. I've been left free range with all the space, so you're welcome for the nice big font. In hindsight, I probably should have done one whiteboard for each topic, but I've gone too far. So let's finish things up by looking at the National Disability Insurance Scheme. So very much, I guess the theme for this topic is looking at insurance, but now we're looking at specific coverage and support for people with a permanent disability. So nice little definition for you, a national insurance scheme that provides services and support for people with a permanent significant disability and also help to their family and carers. So there's a few key words in that definition that you need to be aware of. And I guess that leads in nicely to the selection criteria to be eligible for the NDIS. So obviously if we think back to our equity and access, we want to make sure that this is reserved for people most in need who fit a certain criteria. And unfortunately, I guess with the NDIS, they need to be very, very selective because people sometimes do try and rule out the system. So let's have a look at that selection criteria that people need to meet in order to make sure people do the right thing. I might come over this side, don't know if you can still see me, but follow along. So the first thing is, again, like Medicare, you must be an Australian citizen. The thing with the NDIS is you need to live in Australia because we're providing services and support. They need to be accessible. So I guess they're avoiding if there was a loophole where someone was an Australian citizen but was receiving benefits or payments whilst living overseas. So they must live in Australia. The impairment or condition they have, which is why I wrote it in capitals before, must be lifelong or permanent, not a short-term condition that maybe someone will experience for 6 to 12 months. Maybe they've got an injury or they've been in a car accident but are likely to make a full recovery. So it needs to be a permanent disability. And that might be in a range of different categories. Still can't speak. Might be in a range of different categories. So it could be a physical disability or an impairment. So they might be in a wheelchair, have lost a limb in a workplace accident. They could have been born with maybe a deformity or a congenital abnormality. Or it could be an I still can't speak. Oh, I'm not starting again. I'm just going to press on. They might also have an intellectual disability. So that could be an impairment to their conscious thought and their ability for reasoning and thinking. So I guess what we're looking at in order for them to classify with a range of different disabilities is that impairs their ability to participate in day-to-day living and perform tasks. So remember when we talk about physical health and well-being, we talk about, I guess, the ability to perform daily tasks. And this could be as simple as going to the shops, being able to prepare your own meal. So just think about those day-to-day activities that people may need support for, potentially in the form of an aid, someone to help them, a carer, or potentially assistive technology. So we're looking at maybe a wheelchair or a motorised scooter, or it could be modifications that are made to the home to ensure that that's functionable for them with their disability. Alrighty, so once someone meets that criteria, and I'll wander on over here, what happens is an individualised care plan is developed. So it's specific to that person and specific to their needs and also the goals that they set. So the NDIS work very, very closely with the person in order to, I guess, best suit their lifestyle and what they hope to achieve. So it'd be very different for each person. So just generally speaking, the goals of the care plan, or some of the things that it might look towards achieving, are ensuring that people can access mainstream services. And that may be that they have transportation to get to the doctors, to the supermarket. It may be, if we're thinking about younger kids with a disability, do they have the support that they need in order to access teachers and education? And that might be really challenging if we think about, you know, what situation we're in at the moment, how hard that might be for someone to continue their education with a disability. It might be access to community services and support, so that might be, you know, mental health and wellbeing services, a community group. It might run activities or sporting activities. So there's a range of different services that are out there, but it's really important that we support people with a disability to find those services and to be engaged with them. Really important, this third point, you want to be able to maintain informal support, and what that means is keeping someone, or I guess enabling someone with a disability to stay at home, to receive that help from their family, their friends. That means a lot more to people than receiving outside care. So if the NDIS is able maybe to help those parents of a child with a disability, or to help someone maybe look after a partner after they've been in a really bad accident, look, you'd definitely rather receive help from people you know and those people who know you best. So yeah, it's a really important thing that the NDIS does. Last but not least, obviously funding is super important. So if we look at assistive technology, I've already spoken about maybe if we look at a motorised wheelchair, or also modifications that can be made to the home. If we're thinking about ramps or you know, aids and not ramps. Well, I'm thinking of if you're in the bathroom or the shower and you need a rail. I'm thinking of the word rail. Additional rails within the home, so it makes it safe for them. And it might be that in their home they have stairs, and they need to be able to install a seat that's motorised for them to still live in their home. So pretty much the aim of all of this is to ensure that someone can continue to live an ordinary life. You know, we want people to have the opportunities to go to work, to gain meaningful employment. We want people to have the opportunities to play sport, to join a team, to experience success, and we want people to be able to learn things. So it's really just about making sure that people have access to those things, and yeah, just to live day to day and be able to enjoy those activities. Alright, so things for you guys to think about. The NDIS is quite a topical component within the healthcare system. There's a lot of advertising on television about the NDIS. It's also quite a popular topic when we come into election time with regards to funding and the healthcare system. And I feel like every year I flag this as a key area, as a potential exam question. So it was newly introduced into the study design only 2 years ago. So it does make it quite a hot topic. Examiners like to test new things that they've put in. So please don't neglect the NDIS. It makes for good questions that link to health status, health and wellbeing. Good questions that get you to consider case studies and test your depth and analysis of information. So what I want you to have a think about for me in our things to think about section on our whiteboard is, can you actually list and, I guess more importantly discuss, I probably should have written, can you discuss some specific examples of support and services that are provided by the NDS. Major problem in our SACs last year was that people could list a few things. They're like, oh, I know about motorised wheelchairs, but I don't really know anything else the NDIS does. Really want you to draw on these individualised care plans and get super specific with the examples that you can provide about why the government invests so much time and money into funding the NDIS and why it's important as well. So I'll hop out of the way. I'll take a photo of the board and the other board work that I did in case you want to refer to anything. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully this has been helpful. See you guys.